Hey, what's going on, guys? All right, so in this video, what we're going to be doing is testing out our application. So, like I said within the last few videos, when we set up, or actually when we were setting up our email functionality, what we're going to do is test out and see if when we add a user, does it send an email notification? And then if when the customer adds or creates a request, does it also send or what you call it, an email notification? So the first thing we're going to do is start out within the admin side. What we're going to do is we're going to log in and create a user, and then we're going to also check and see if it sends an email or not. So remember, we're going to be testing that out with Mailtrap. And so the other thing is, please take note of how this particular login form looks, because when we send a notification to the client and when they click to verify the account, it's going to display something similar to this. Because when I created that view, I didn't record that I did that while I was offline, or while I was not, or while the video was paused. And so some of you didn't get to see me create that, but the view itself is going to be pretty much similar to this. All right, so let's start off by logging in. I'm going to log in as the system admin. Then I'm going to say password 123. Let me just check that out. It's in caps. Okay, so let's log in. All right, so we are now logged into the client, or sorry, the admin dashboard. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is add a client, right? So we're going to say add new client. And then let me see. Uh, let's just add Jane Doe, JD at some company. Um, I'm just using the autofill over there to just add that information. So let's say the alternative email is John Doe. Just put that in there. I'm just gonna do that. Florida Roads, Midlands. Uh, just remember, these information for now is just for test data, so it doesn't really matter what we put in there. So the service pack they're gonna select is professional, and then let me not forget to put in the password there. I just want to check something. Okay. All right. And then we also have to choose a file. All right. So we're gonna choose. Let's just check. Let's just take that one over there. All right. So if all is all set up, if everything is set up correctly, what this is gonna do is it's gonna add this user within the database. As you know, currently we only have two users. It's Steven Edwards. This is the one we've been testing with, and the system admin. So then now we should have another user after we save this form over here, and then it should send an email to Mailtrap. So let's just check it out. By the way, if we do so happen to encounter whatever issues, we'll just fix them as we go along. So it's just checking now. Okay, so client was added successfully. So if you're wondering, it's taking that slow. It's taking that long because it has to also send that email. So let's just check out Mailtrap. All right, so there's our welcome email over there. So if you click here, we then now get this particular view over here. So it looks like everything worked correctly. So so now when we add a client within the system, they then have to come in and click on this verify account to in order for them to be able to access the system. So if you want to test, so let's log out. Um, So if you check now, what did we say the email was? So it's JD at some company. So let's just take that. So even though this wouldn't be the case, but let's just test it out, see if it will allow the user to log out. I mean to log in. So if you try to log in, remember we did that check within our application. Okay, so as you can see, it did check and see that this count is not yet verified. Please check your email. So then let's go back to login. So now, remember, like I said, the view that or first let's just click on the button. So we then click on this verify account button. All right, as you can see, like I explained within the previous video, if you check that URL there, there's a token and then there's a user ID. And then if you check that token over there, C7UDZ is the exact same token that we have here, C7UDZ. And then the user ID is also 5. I know that there's much secure ways to go about doing this, but this should suffice for now. So as you can see, this verify account, what you call it, page, is similar to our login view. So I didn't show you guys when I created this view because I did this while I was logged out. Oh, or yeah, when I pause the video. So, but don't stress out because this is the exact same view. I use the exact same view that we have for the login, and so the only thing I changed was the email field and inserted this particular password field over here. So now the user has to then now change their password, and then after they change their password, they're gonna be redirected to the login form. So before we do that, let me just show you within the authentication controller. All right. So this is the authentication controller. So as you saw within the previous video, within the previous video, we first check that ID and token to see if they match up. If they do, if they don't, what it's gonna do is if it doesn't, it's gonna check it here. If it doesn't, it's gonna redirect them to the expire or the error page. Or if it does, it then renders the view, as you can see there. So currently, it is rendering the view. All right, and so when we submit this form, it's gonna come in here on this change password method over here. Again, we're gonna take that ID and token and make sure that we are updating where this ID and token are set up within where the ID and token are set up within the table, and then it's gonna update also the other fields like verified at, and then also set the verified field to 1. So remember this by default is set to 0. Okay, so now, oh, by the way, there's another thing that I need to do. So as you can see, we are validating the password and confirm field. So we also need to make sure that the password that they are entering is the same as the password. So how we can do that is simple as this. We're going to say same and then say password. So make sure that that password that you're inserting there is the exact same as that one there. All right. So let's save that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna just change our password. So we're gonna say password 123, password 123. So hopefully if we've done everything correctly, it should change the password. So we're gonna change. All right, so as you can see, it says the password changed successfully. Please proceed to login. So now it redirected us back to the login page. So if you check within our database, as you can see here, the token is still there, and also the verified ad is null. And then as you can see, verified is set to 0 by default. So the verified ad, the email verified ad, the verified field, the token field should have at least been updated, and then the password field as well should be different now. So let's just refresh the database and see. Okay, so as you can see, the token is null for that user ID 5. The verified ad is also updated along with that, the verified field. So it looks like everything was set up correctly. So then now we can proceed to log in if we need to. All right, so now Jane Doe is now able to log in. And then if you just check again, our um our middleware, if I say admin, if I try to log in, it should redirect us back to the client page. Okay, so our middleware that we set up in the last video, it is working. So yeah, everything should be fine. Now there seems to be one issue here where it's supposed to only show the registration, but we'll fix this later on. This is not supposed to show here, but in any case, yeah, let's just log out. So yeah, everything is working now in terms of when you add the client and when the user needs to update their account and so forth. So now, since we are here, what we need to do now, let me close this. So remember, we did an authentication here within our application, where if the ID and token does no longer exist, it's gonna redirect them back to the error page. So since that has been cleared within our database, if we click on this account, I mean verify account, it shouldn't take us to the verify page. So let's see what happens. All right. So as you can see, our verification, our checking, our what you call it, our validation worked. So it says that the session has expired. Please contact your administrator, which is the exact message that we set up here. So as you can see, at least we are also protecting against that, so that the user doesn't keep going back to the same page, changing the password and so forth. Okay, so that's it in terms of the admin side. The other email functionality we needed to set up was for when the user inserts a request. So when the user creates a request, by the way, did I show you? Oh yeah, so this is just the message, by the way. So now when the user logs in, I'm just gonna log in as Stephen Cole minus the user that we've been working with. Just loading in there. Okay. So now what we need to do is what we need to do is view more. Oh no, sorry. We're not supposed to go to that page. We already tested this one out. This one works. What we need to go is to the create request page. So we come here, and then so now we're gonna create a request. Let's just make it a support request. Let's just say hardware. Um, the subject is gonna be, let's just say laptop issue. Um, let's just say um, something like my laptop battery is no longer functioning, right? And then you don't need to add a file, but if we want to, by the way, we never actually tested it, so let's just add a file. Though we don't need to add it here within this request, but let's just add it and see. Okay, so let's just check that file and then paste it in there. Okay, so remember when we create this request, it's also supposed to send a notification to the admin. So let's just check it out and see if it does that. So say create request. Okay, undefined company name. So there's an issue where we are storing that file. So if you come to the controller, if you come up here, company name, where is it seeing that? Oh, profile name, company name. profile name. Why do we need this, by the way? Oh, I think I know what this is. Okay, so okay, let's just rectify that quickly. So what we need is we come here. We're gonna say let's just say actually let's do that. Okay, so it's looking for this company name. So I made a mistake there. So let's just do this here. So here we're gonna pull in. So it's company detail. Okay. So now what we need to do is um, down here we need to get the company name. So we're gonna say um, yeah, profile name equals to company name. So there, let's just call it the company name, and then it's gonna equal to. We're gonna say company detail, and then we're gonna say um, where, and then obviously the value is gonna be company name, right? Client, sorry about that. It's gonna be client ID now, and then we're gonna say where auth um, auth user ID, right? And then that should set that company name. So remember when we store this profile name here, so here within the storage app folder, it's supposed to create a company name within here. So it's Stephen Cole minus, and it's supposed to store uh, that file within here. So we already got it, but this one we did a mistake when we were testing it out. So at least you should see the PDF version of this. So hopefully we did everything correctly. So let's try again. I'm just gonna refresh this data and see if it inserts it. It's just taking some time, so let's just wait for it. Okay, so looks like everything worked. So now if we check, so remember we are storing the information based on I mean the file is being stored based on the company name and so forth. So if you check in Stephen Cole minus and we go to current and then we go to request. So remember the file path here is profile name, which is the company name, requests. It create it's we just separating that the folder so that it doesn't mix with the current, I mean the contracts folder. So it's going to be request, and then because the folder is, I think this is a support request, so it should create it a subdirectory called support. And then as you can see it did that, and then that's the file that we attached when we created that request. So yeah, apologies for that, guys. We didn't test this out earlier when we were creating the when we were creating this particular part here, but yeah, so just rectify that. We're just getting the ID, the company name based on the user who's logged in. All right, so the other thing is that it should have sent an email. So if we check here, as you can see it did that. So it said new request, and then if you click here, this just specifies, it just says here a new request has been logged, and then the request has been logged by Stephen Edwards, the case number, it's a support request, and then here it'll just describe whatever the issue is, and then this is just the subject. So it looks like our email functionality works when it comes to creating requests. So So I think that's all we needed to test in terms of the what you call it, the application. All right, so yeah, so yeah, guys, the only issue we had was just the storing of the file. We didn't test this, but we just tested it now, and it works. So if you had an issue, and if you were following along and you had an issue, just make sure you get to that company name over there. All right, and yeah, I think that's it. We could have set up another email functionality where it sends an email to the client whenever we close their requests, but I think that's all we needed. We don't need to actually do that. All right, so just gonna log out here. So yeah, I think that's it, guys, for in terms of what we needed to do to test out the application. So guys, like I said, I think this should be the last video in terms of what we needed to do in terms of this whole application. But I'm gonna upload one last video that is just to explain certain things that we didn't do within the application and so forth. But in any case, guys, if you've liked what you've seen so far, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be seeing you guys within the next video. Um, cheers for now.